guys, so before I texture, I want to export also the animation, so I just rigged that. How can you do this? Let me just save this first. So let me show you, I did 100 frames, so this is approximately about the length of our girl walking and holding the lantern here. So she's walking really slow, so if I just press play, you can see that we are now animating this stuff on different directions. Okay, so yeah, and this is approximately the length. So if she's walking, and then we will attach this animation to her left hand, and this is going to look a little better. And also inside we will attach the light as well. So we will probably use a blueprint or just attach this light into the animation basically, yeah. But maybe we don't need a light. I'm not sure. Maybe we just also add a light. It's not big deal. But I will just show you what you can do basically when you have a mesh, and just to get like a simple bone and simple animation. So again, I save that and let me get another mesh. Sorry, let me go out of pose mode. So let me just get a mesh. So for example, you have this cube here, right? Then you do something like this. You need topology, right? And you also need topology here. Not really, but just make sure that you have enough topology. So then you can also just subdivide this to get even more topology. Yeah, let's do Catmull Clark, and let's shade smooth this thing. So what you can do is you can click on this, Shift A, and you get an armature, right? You can't see the armature. So if I just toggle, you can't see it. What you can do is when you click on this armature, you can click on this data, and then in front. You get this in front. And then when you just move it, all right, you have this bone. Now we can snap it. So because this is the, 180. So this is the root, basically. This is where this is where it starts. So if you just put it inside here, you can also scale it according to your mesh, and then you have like the next ankle. So this means when you click on this thing, you can tap in edit mode, and then just E and then snap it, and then to get another bone. So it depends where you want to have this, the next ankle here. And then you can get another one, do like so, and you get another one, like so. So this is just an example. Yeah. Now, in order to put this into your mesh, in order to move your mesh, you need to click on the mesh first, and then shift click on this armature. Then you can Control P, and then you can set automatic weights. When you do that, you can now go click on this mesh. Click on those bones, and you go into pose mode, right? And this is where you can basically now just move this stuff, right? So just move every bone how you want to have it. But let me just undo that. So let's get this straight, okay? And then you can open up the timeline here. So you just drag it up and you have the timeline. So the first frame, just put it on the first frame. Then you can click on this in pose mode and then press A, okay? To select everything. Just this bone. So click on this bone first and then A. Right click and then insert a keyframe. You can see those bones are now registered. And then you can go to the second, to frame 20, for example. Then click on one bone. So I always start with the last one in this case. And then do something like this. Get the next one. And the next one. And try to make it look smooth. And then you can even go more really crazy here. So you can't bend it really. You can't bend so much. Otherwise, you need more bones, and you also need a little more topology. But in this case, you need additional bone here. So then, when you're happy with this next step, you can click on this A again and insert keyframe. Of course, we only did this on one axis. So when you just press 3, you have now the y-axis, and you can also do this again. So just click on this bone and do something here, and maybe here, and maybe here. Right? So you can just go crazy here. And then again, click on one bone, A, right click, and set keyframe. And then I can just copy that Yes, it's working. So I can just copy those first frames. So this is basically going back to the center. So let me put this into the frame 40. So we have even space. And then I can maybe get to frame 60, click on this, and then do something like this, do something like this, and then press 3. And then maybe I just want to go into this direction. Okay, press 1. And then click on one bone, A, right click, insert keyframe. And then we get the first one again, and we put this on frame 80. Boom. And then this is how you can basically, when you press play, this is basically how you can animate something with a bone. All right. Now let me just get rid of this stuff here. So let me just delete this armature and also the mesh, because I only need this. So when I press play, I have this about, wait. Yeah. So I might just get another one. So let me click on this bone in pose mode. Let's click all bones, and I have this. And also let me get this again and put this on frame 120. Now I think this should be long enough. Maybe get this one again and put this here. Boom. Let's do frame until 140. And we can also let's do like so. And then we can see and if you don't want this snapping, you can increase to 160, and then let's just get this one here. We copy the first one and we put it here. And then you don't have this ugly cut. And when it's moving, when it's just stopped doing what it's doing, you can also just put it here. Okay, so but for me, until 140 is fine. So the length would be fine for me. And then this is basically the lantern. So you can see also the chain is moving. And we can also go back and readjust this. So let's go and get this one. Insert a keyframe. And also here. Insert a keyframe. So we just override what's going on here. insert one here. So we have a little more movement regarding the chain. And here as well. So when we click on this, we want to have more movement here. And insert a keyframe. Perfect. All right. Then let's save that. Okay. And when you want to get this into Unreal Engine, you need the bone. So we will just export this with the armature and mesh. And then we will import this in Unreal Engine as a so-called skeleton mesh. So this is not a static mesh, a skeleton mesh. And then we also, Unreal Engine will find this bone structure. And yeah, this is basically it. So let's go into object mode. And you can see now this is the root. And then we have different bones. So yeah. Okay, so now let me just export this. Let me see if everything is all right. Let me put this all transforms. Let me see if the animation is still working. Yeah, this is perfect. All right. So now I can just click on this thing, file, export, FBX, selected objects. Let's go to downloads, silent resources, new folder. Lantern, so I'm going to texture that as well. And we only want the mesh. Selected objects, only mesh, no animation. And export. So if you just import this now, just to make sure, Lantern, 2.8 megabytes, let's import this, boom, this is the one we just imported. And we do have those materials assigned. All right, so I can just delete this. I don't need that. And now we click on everything. So now we need this whole thing, mesh and armature. So the animation basically. File, export, FBX. And we do SK, Japanese lantern, okay? So we need the armature and the mesh. And this is perfectly fine. You see geometry is fine. We don't need to append leaf bones. And this is only the skeleton mesh. So now we have the root bone as well with this as a skeleton mesh. Export this. Let me save. And then we also want to export the FBX, but this time we get the animation. And we do animation. So now we have the static mesh for texturing. We have this with the bone, so skeleton mesh included for Unreal Engine, and we have the Japanese lantern animation. And the length should be I already set the length to 140. So let's export this. Okay, let's save. And now if we just import this, let's import the skeleton mesh. And you can see this is all exactly the same. So we can delete this. And when we when we import the Japanese lantern animation, let me import this. Boom. And then let's hide the first one. So I only have this. You can see they are animating. So let me just delete the first one. Let me hide. So sorry for that. So now I only have the one selected, which has already been imported now. But we can see, let me see why this is faster. Okay, so this is not really correct. Let me save this. Pose mode. Okay, so this is perfect. Let's go back to object mode. We save this. Let's do a new file, general. And let me import the FBX animation. So lantern, and then we have this Japanese lantern animation. We import this. Okay. So let's get the Japanese lantern. Select everything, file, export, FBX, the armature, and the mesh. Apply transform, this is what I forgot, apply transform. And we select the animation only. Now, and then we can go to resources, lantern, and we save this as Japanese lantern animation. Okay? So now this is after we exported the skeleton mesh, now we export the animation. So animation is applied and the applied transform is applied, and it's the mesh and armature. And you can go select objects. You should. So just make sure when you have something you want to export that you have the mesh and its bones selected. And then you click on select objects, and then let's just export this. So let's see, it looks good. And then let's save. Let's get a new file so we can see what's going on. AX. And then we import the animation. Lantern, animation, import. Now this looks good. We have 140 frames. Perfect. And this is our animation. Congratulations. So we have everything. And we can also see all those UVs are applied, and we have the 2 material slots for that. Okay. And when we just delete everything, and let's get the skeleton mesh, SK, Japanese lantern, we have this one with the bone hierarchy, and we click on the mesh, we have our materials, and everything's fine. All right. So now I will texture the lantern, and then in the next lecture, I will give you an insight on how to add the lantern and put on the textures. And then we will do some subsurface scattering so that this light is shining through. This is the purpose of subsurface scattering. I mean, this is the name for that subsurface. So the light shines through. And yeah, we will try to also add a small spotlight and maybe to get this glow from the inside maybe. And yeah, and then we will attach it to our animation, animated girl, and then this is going to look really good. And yeah, let's do that.